Nashville faces a new challenge that once again requires all of us to pull together and respond for the good of our entire community. And we will respond as we always have.
Nashville was scheduled to move into what they call Phase 3 today. They have a 4-phase program to open the city, but instead they're going to stay in Phase 2. That is because an increase of new cases has authorities a little bit nervous here.
When the pandemic hit, I felt almost immediately that bankers were being called to a different type of front line, of course, than healthcare workers. But we had a lot of folks in our community hurting from a financial standpoint.
This was a problem that trickled up the socioeconomic ladder really fast. We all know that it disproportionately hit Black and brown communities. It definitely disproportionately affected the most vulnerable, but then it went up fast. And people in all arenas of life here in Davidson County have been really challenged to maintain stability for their families.
In my 28 years of office, I've never seen anything like this or anything that has affected the court systems and affected people the way that this virus has.
Before COVID, I worked at Access Dental Lab. I was a biotechnician. When it was heavy because of the numbers, they shut a lot of things down, and Access Dental Lab was one of those. But financially, it's been a struggle. It's been a burden to
been very stressful.
Not know where it's going to come from or how it's going to happen.
COVID-19 touched everything that was part of our world in property management. Are people going to be able to stay in their homes? Are people going to have to stay in their homes for an extended period of time? Meaning they wouldn't go to work, wouldn't be able to pay the rent, wouldn't be able to pay their mortgages. What's going to happen?
We, for 20 years, have worked with the eviction court, the General Sessions Court, to provide free mediation, particularly for people who don't have any legal representation, to help them come into a private room, have a private discussion to see if we can't mediate an outcome instead of those people having to see a judge. NCRC has never been in the business of providing funding. I mean, we provide mediation, but in this case it proved that we had probably the best access to people who really were at the very edge of eviction.
So if the landlords and the tenants can come to an agreement, then this money can be used, that is relief money from the federal government, to pay rent for these folks that have been affected by the COVID virus. And what we're trying to do with the Conflict Resolution Center is to get these people together in a setting that they can talk and they can actually mediate the case or try to get the rent paid and get the judgments taken off, or maybe not even have a judgment for the non-payment of rent.
Thanks to NCRC, I can pay my rent and have the resources to buy my family a Thanksgiving dinner. At one point, I lost hope, but then you showed up and convinced me to keep the faith and believe that anything is possible. This year, we have so much to be thankful for.
It is really cool how we're just right in the middle, facilitating all these conversations between all these different connections around the city to try to piece it all together to produce something that can really resolve these dilemmas.
So as they were getting funds that needed to quickly be deployed within the community during a time of crisis, our role was to facilitate that as easily as possible and not create a barrier and friction. But also making decisions like, you know what, we're going to waive this fee, and this is our way to contribute to the work you're doing on behalf of all of us in Nashville.
If Nashville Conflict Resolution Center had not come along when they did, it would have been much, much harder. So many people and only so much that you can bend without really breaking. So I don't know what we would have done.
Without them stepping in, there is no way we would still be in our apartment today.
We would not be doing this interview today if...
And very well could have become homeless.
Yes.
In the fall, just from between October and mid-December, we stabilized 380 families. And that was well over 1,200 people at risk of eviction. Not just needed a little help, they were at risk of being homeless. The biggest need NCRC has now is operating funds so that we can meet the increased need. 1,800 backlogged cases have been moved into this housing court, and we've been asked to help, to get them out without a judge needing to say evicted. Now, in order to do that fast, I need more staff. I just need more staff. And if we have more staff, we can do it.